as I made the schedule, I decided that I would like to do the vote and pledge because I would like to share with you my wise thoughts.
Yeah.
Thoughts from my wisdom. Beep. Îmi place vara, mă născ cu vara. Nu-mi place iarna.
Make it a little louder. We got the fans.
Îmi place vara, m-am născut vara și nu-mi place iarna.
What language is that? From what you gusto?
My thought is so wise that you cannot even comprehend, right? Next time I'm going to give you a speech in Romanian, so you'll see. I was telling you that I love summer. I was born in summer, June, and it is, for me, sunny days and work are very important. And cold and dark affect me terribly. I chose the theme tonight, I Know What You Did Last Summer, not because of the horror movie, but just because the summer is just over, and I would like us to recollect how we enjoyed the summer this year. But for now, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now I'm going to welcome at the lectern our President, Mr. Jonathan Dye.
Wonderful to see you tonight. Gail, thanks for joining us. I see you brought a guest. We're called the facilitators for 3 reasons, since we have some new faces in the room this evening. The first being, we are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators, open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And Toastmasters, incidentally, is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate means to make things easy and possible. The goal of this evening, to make things easy and possible for everyone in these 4 walls. We have some business to attend to. The first, we have, unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, lost our current Sergeant-at-Arms. Charles and myself, and now we can add Michann to the list, have been filling in for that role. If taking a leadership role and growing as a person is something that interests you, please get with me at the end of the meeting. In addition, our Vice President of Membership, fortunately for him, unfortunately for us, got a job that has brought him to the Space Coast. Meaning, it's kind of hard to get here in rush hour traffic. I think membership, I think all the roles are excellent. I think it's the coolest one, getting to interact with people on a one-on-one basis and bringing new people into our club, which is essential for the survival. So that is another role we will be looking for. If growing as a person and taking a leadership role is something that interests you, get with me at the end of the meeting tonight. October 12, 2014, currently at the Longwood Library, is going to be the next round of the Evaluation and Humorous Speaking Championships. Mr. Mark Lockery and myself will be competing in that tournament. We would love to have you there supporting us. The last thing that I'm going to have, we are currently collecting dues for the next 6 months. The total for that is $45. If you're somebody that hasn't paid your dues yet, and you know who you are, please get your check or cash or money order to Charlie, and we will take care of that for you. And I lied, it wasn't the last thing. We have to talk about the guests. The guests. Ted is a returning guest from last week. He's a Toastmaster at another club. You know what I'm talking about, I believe, was the time. I know it was Soprano West. Right. So for those who haven't met you yet, Ted, would you just stand and share a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. My name is Ted Allman. I travel, so I'm basically here during the winter. And then I travel northern states, see all my kids, and do all that kind of stuff. And escape to Florida summer. Started with you talking to me in the very southwest corner of, southeast corner of Orlando, but that I've moved into a area near, what's the lake? I don't even remember where I'm at. But it's relatively close to here. So I think if you'll have me, I would like to join your club.
Woo! We would. In last term, Gail gave a thing on listening, and I really got a lot from it. And one of the neatest things that Ted said last week was he has been to, I don't remember how many different clubs he's visited, but he put this one up with the best of the best. And he's seen a lot. I thought that was really fantastic, and that's because of all the leaders that are in this room that blaze the trail for people like me. Gail, I see you brought a guest. I didn't get a chance to meet him ahead of time. We would love to hear from him.
My name is Bob Grassoff. I recently moved from Melbourne. And I had, prior to that point, I had lived in South Florida, down in Fort Lauderdale, and I was the CEO of a company in Aventura, Florida. I recently met Gail, and Gail said, Wednesday, I'm going to Toastmasters. I want you to go to Toastmasters. And I said, you know, my father was a Toastmaster. And he was a Toastmaster at Offutt Air Force Base, which was the headquarters for the Strategic Air Command. And he gave most of the briefings to the commanding generals. So he used his experience in Toastmasters every day in his work. So I thought it would be an interesting activity to do tonight.
Awesome.
So thank you very much.
Mr. Grassoff, pleasure to meet you. And who says trickling down doesn't work? The guy obviously has got some Toastmaster on him. I mean, did you hear the way that guy spoke? And everybody that's in this room too, what Gail did is what we all need to be doing, quite frankly. If you have a leadership manual, pass that off to somebody. I don't have a single one over on my table, and I would love to evaluate you for that. So get me your manuals. Reigning Facilitator of the Year. Team Player Extraordinary. Beautiful inside and outside. She's a very Genshai lady. And I don't know what she did last summer, but I know what she's doing tonight. Please welcome to the lectern our Toastmaster this evening, Micki D.
As I was telling you a few minutes ago, the summer just ended. The last day of summer was September 20th. The first day of autumn began September 21st. And I would like to take the opportunity tonight to recollect a few of our entertainments that we participated to this summer. I was trying to find a few interesting facts for you to share with you. So I looked on history website, but because there are so many tragic events listed there, I decided to not share any with you tonight. I have a problem with our first speaker. It is all.
We have a minor change because now I will switch in evaluators. Gail is going to evaluate Mark.
Okay.
No, not for anything. So, sorry.
So, before we start with our first speaker, let's see who are going to be our functionaries tonight. Mr. Counter, if you could tell us a few words about your role tonight. Jorge Bomboliter.
In order to improve the quality of our speech, the out-camera's job is to make us aware of disruptive audible clutches such as, double clutches, which is the repetition of the word or the speaker searches for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridges such as and, so, or like. I will sound the buzzer, and I won't do it too many times on you, because it doesn't work. I will sound the buzzer when I hear any of these in practice. Please note this is not to cause embarrassment, but to get immediate feedback on an area that needs improvement. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not given their icebreaker speech will not be fined or bussed, but I will keep track of their practice. I will give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Our grammarian tonight is Susan Morgan.
As grammarian, I have two basic responsibilities. First is to provide the word of the day to my fellow Toastmasters and guests in order to expand our vocabulary. I have chosen the word of the day, which is contingency. It means dependence on chance or on the fulfillment of a condition, uncertainty. If you have the opportunity to speak, please do your best to use the word. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. Those who do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of vocabulary and grammar, and will suggest improvements in grammar as needed.
Thank you. Our supervisor of elections tonight is Michann.
As vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for a best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person.
Thank you. And finally, our timer, Linda Ers.
One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specified time. As timer, I am responsible for monitoring time for each speaker in each meeting segment. I will operate the timing signal indicating to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. For our prepared speeches, to qualify for voting, speakers must speak not less than 30 seconds under their range minimum and not more than 30 seconds over their range maximum. I will turn on the green light, range minimum, the yellow light, mid-range, and red light for range maximum. Table topics will be, and all our speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. And if table topics is 1 minute, 1.5, and 2. Evaluations will be 2 minutes, 2.5, and 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, yes.
Do you have any extra agendas?
Yes. Now, with only 2 speakers tonight, we will have more time to enjoy our table topics. And I think Jonathan prepared us a surprise for tonight. He learned a few secrets of yours that he's going to share with us. Our first speaker remembers when he did what he did last summer. He went ziplining 600 feet above a river and valley in the Philippines with his wife and new GoPro camera. He loves taking risks and accepting challenges, often with no contingency plan. Accepting the challenge for speech number 7, please welcome Mark Lowry.
I just communicated to everybody in this room without even opening my mouth that I needed help. And I did it by transmitting Morse code over this flashlight. Madam Toastmaster, members, and guests. Tonight, let's learn a little bit more about Stephen Morse and his electrical telegraph. Stephen Morse was born April 27, 1791, Charleston, Massachusetts. And at an early age, he developed a talent and passion for painting. Portrait painting, to be exact. And while he was attending Yale, he supported himself by his paintings. Upon graduation, he became famous over the United States. Everybody wanted him to paint their portraits. And in 1816, he was commissioned to go and paint the official portrait of then President John Adams. By all accounts, Steve Morse was a successful, happy, and content painter. How did he make the transition from being a painter to developing the telegraph? Sometimes, unfortunately, it takes a tragedy in our lives for us to examine our focus or reshift our passion and our drive. Such was the case for Stephen Morse. As he was a famous painter, he was asked to come to Washington, D.C. and paint a portrait for the Marquis de Lafayette, who at the time was the premier French supporter for the American Revolution. So he packed up his painting supplies from his then home in New Hampshire and went to Washington, D.C. and started painting the portrait of the Marquis de Lafayette. While he was there, a messenger by horseback came and delivered him a letter from his father. And the letter informed him that his wife was ill. The following day, another letter from a separate horse messenger came with a letter for Samuel Morse. This one informing him that his wife had suddenly passed away. He was devastated. So without even finishing the portrait, he packed up his gear and went back to New Hampshire as fast as he could. Unfortunately, by the time he got there, his wife had already been buried. So he didn't even get to spend any of her remaining days by her side. And it was that defining moment and that tragedy in Samuel Morse's life that he made the decision. Something needed to be done to improve long-distance communications. So Samuel Morse teamed up with a physician named Joseph Henry and a scientist named Alfred Vail, and they created the first electric telegraph, a system that would send electronic pulses via a copper wire between a transmitter and a receiver. And they also developed a code that could be used that would symbolize the letters of the alphabet and numbers by short pulses and long pulses. And this code became known as Morse code. Now, over the years, they enhanced their system by adding amplifiers and relays to their electric circuit, which would allow them to carry the signal tens, if not hundreds of miles. So it rapidly grew throughout the United States, and in 1847, they received the patent for their telegraph system. and it wasn't long before the military started using it for their communications. The telegraph was used extensively throughout the Civil War. In World War I, the Zeppelin pilots who had radio communication would use Morse code to coordinate their bombing runs or for their scouting missions. And by the 1930s, it was a requirement for every U.S. pilot to know Morse code upon entering the military. Now, what fascinates me about Morse code is you don't need a sending and a receiving device on two sides of a copper wire. Anything that you have that can produce a short or a long signal can be used to communicate via Morse code. Whether it be a flashlight or a mirror, maybe directing the sun's reflections. You can even communicate with somebody who's deaf and dumb if they know Morse code. Maybe by having a device that buzzes, and by holding it up to their skin, they would be able to tell the letters or numbers based on whether it's a short buzz or a long buzzing sensation. In 1966, a U.S. Navy pilot by the name of Jeremiah Denton was shot down over North Vietnam. And his captors one day put him in front of a television camera with a long script for him to read to all the viewers in the world, telling everybody how well he was being treated by the Vietnamese government. And while he sat there and read the words on that paper out of his mouth, he blinked Morse code with his eyes. And it just so happened, people back in the United States who knew Morse code started translating his blinking pattern. So while he was reading the words, how well he's being treated by the North Vietnamese, he spelled out the word torture by blinking. So it was known that he was being tortured while he was over there. So you can see the uses for Morse code nowadays are limitless. And in my opinion, it's a basic function and something that I think everybody should know. That's why at the age of 11, I got my amateur radio license and have been using Morse code. At the age of 12, I was already communicating with people in Belgium and other countries around the world. So next time you go camping and you have your first aid kit, and in your kit you put your water purification tablets or your dried food, why don't you pack a little knowledge into that kit too? Why don't you learn Morse code? Because one day, Morse code might save your life. Madam Toastmaster.
Except for a brief exposure to Toastmasters in 1968, Ted Allman has been a member of...
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute, I'm sorry. Director comments for all. I was so...
Sorry. It's like the longest in the world. This time it probably
You just have the speech, Sarah.
Except for a brief exposure to Toastmasters in 1968, Ted Allman has been a member of Youth to Me since last April. His career includes computer programming, systems engineering, and teaching. He writes for Edit International and is currently editing the physics book, Einstein's Equation. Ted has raised 6 kids cherishes 17 grandchildren and dotes over 2 great-grandsons. He is a founding member of the Fort Lauderdale Center of Inquiry and is president of the Coalition of the Advancement of Science Education. Please help me welcome our next speaker tonight, Ted Allman.
I didn't have a speech that fit into one of the projects, so I pulled out one of my contingencies. It could fit in pretty well with what you may have been doing last summer. You like to read? You read a book? No? Okay. You look like a pretty literate audience. Well, I'm going to play a little game tonight. And this is an audience participation, so I want you to get involved. I'll round your answers. Okay? You've heard of that TV classic, What's My Line? And there's several others that use the same kind of formula. Well, I'm going to say, what's my book? What is the book that I'm talking about? And I'll give you the first line. And if you recognize it, you holler out the name of the book and give yourself a point. This is all honor situations. If you know the author as well, yell it out and give yourself a second point. Okay? Should we go? All right. They call me Ishmael.
Moby Dick.
You got it.
Herman Melville.
Yeah. You get a point. All right. Who was the best of times? Who was the worst of times?
Tale of Two Cities.
Literally. And who wrote it?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Can't hear you.
No.
It's not.
Tale of Two Cities?
Kipling?
Charles
Dickens.
Okay. Who is John Galt?
Ayn Rand.
That's the author. Which book? You get a point for the author. Who's the book? Atlas Shrugged. All right, how about this? When he was nearly 13, my brother Jim got his arm badly broken at the elbow. Jim, you remember the character?
Davy Crockett.
To Kill a Mockingbird. Remember Jim in sport? Okay, and now that you know the book, anybody know the author? Harper Lee. I can never remember her name, even though I knew. But this is a little more difficult. So, 124 was spiteful. I told you it's a little more difficult.
Is the Guinea book?
It was Toni Morrison's Beloved. This all happened more or less. It's science fiction. You guys don't read the same books, I do.
That's how far I have 0 points.
Slaughterhouse-Five. Kurt Vonnegut. Okay, you're gonna get this one. He was an old man who fished alone in a skiff in the Gulf Stream.
Old Man of the Sea, Ernest Hemingway.
Yep. You got it. There's another book. I'll give you a little hint. Got an ethnic flavor to it. You better not never tell nobody about God. Popular movie. Not that popular.
That is easy.
Fried green tomatoes.
Color purple.
Yes! And who wrote Poe?
Arthur here?
No, Alice Walker. All right. This is a classic. Probably got it in high school. The coal passed reluctantly from the earth, and the retiring fogs revealed an army stretched out over the hills.
Seems like watching episode 1 of Star Wars.
On the hills. Red Badge of Persia. Anybody know what title? Stephen Kreme. This was also a popular movie. It was a pleasure to burn.
Fahrenheit 454.
Yeah, 451.
Well, I almost got it.
Who wrote it? Ray Bradbury. Okay. Here's another super classic. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Science fiction, very politically descriptive.
1984.
Yep. And who wrote that?
Orson
Say it again.
Welles.
No. George Orwell.
It had the more.
I was saying, no, that isn't right. It's coming out of my mouth.
We already heard something about this one once earlier. Behind every man now alive stand 30 ghosts, for that is the ratio which the dead outnumber the living. Science fiction, space flight.
Star Trek?
It's literature, not
No, literature. Well, that's a book.
2001, A Space Odyssey.
That was a total guess. That's
Let it out, let it out. Arthur C. Clarke. Great. Okay, this one you won't get, but I know you've heard this line many times. It was a dark and stormy night.
Snoopy.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Say it again.
It was a dark and stormy night. I'll accept Snoopy. I got it written down here, but the name of the book was actually called Paul Clifford. You heard of Paul Clifford. And the author is even more obscure. So, it was fun putting this together. I hope you enjoyed it. Madam Toastmaster?
Thank you, Dad, very much. Madam Timer, can we have a minute for our comments? Thank you. And also, if you would like to give us the timer's report.
Mark Godfrey, 6 minutes and 24 seconds, he qualified. Ted Allman, 7 minutes and 32 seconds, he did not qualify.
Thank you. our Toastmaster, table topics master tonight is Jonathan Gunn. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about his summer event adventures. The summer '95, our next presenter got married, followed by a divorce the next summer. In the summer of '98, he got married again, and in the summer of '08, divorced yet again. And thinking that the third time would be a charm, got married again in the summer of 2012. And guess what? He didn't get divorced the following summer, or even the summer after that. He got divorced in the winter, 5 months later. Yikes! But at least one summer he got the decision right, joining the facilitators in the summer of 2012. And while he would like to divorce himself from doing table topics, no, he gets it. This part of the meeting has a huge crossover benefit into many areas of your life, and he is marrying it for life. Please welcome our table topics master tonight and the best communicator of all, Jonathan. I'm going for.
Life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. It's impromptu speaking time. And the benefits of this part truly have no limits. So get ready. It's going to be fun. And everything that I'm going to ask tonight, it's things you already know about yourself, so you only have to talk about what you know already. I know what you did last summer. And when I found this out, it absolutely astonished me. Stephen, you have so many things that you're doing already. It really astounded me to find out that you worked secret service for John Boehner. And you prevented 3 assassination attempts, and you even got a spray tan with him. Tell the facilitators all about it.
You see, in order to be effective at protecting anybody, you also have to be invisible. Therefore, anyone who's going to try and make any attempt is not going to actually notice that you are there. That's how you can be most effective. That is also the way, by the way, to be most effective at actually accomplishing an assassination. If you're not noticed and you slip right through, then you can get close enough to make that attempt. But the key thing is, in order to go make that attempt, if you really want to be successful, you really should be of the mind that you do not intend to escape. You intend to go down with it. Therefore, when taking note of anybody who's going to make those attempts, most people don't actually get that mindset. So you want to take that idea of looking for those people who are actually looking for escape routes. Having just seen now what the Capitol looked like this past summer, you notice that though it seems like there are lots of escape routes available, there are also people all over the place, and especially the security in place. So it's just simply a matter of looking at whoever is darting their eyes back and forth, which I can see happens every time a table topic is about to be introduced in here. I'm a bit concerned about each one of you. So I'm going to stand here and protect Jonathan back here. Just so that you realize, those pens might seem rather dangerous, and that's what in fact it turned out to be, just the pens that people were carrying. You'd be amazed at the things you can squeeze into the pens these days. Although it could be a simple one-shot gun, it could be a recording device, recording video sound, it could be broadcasting. These days it could be, for all you know, a bomb itself. But I'm afraid what it turned out is all that they were containing, though it seemed to be attempts, was just the spray tan inside the pens. So I can't say that I've accomplished much, other than somehow surviving this table topic.
And while Stephen was protecting Mr. Boehner, his lovely wife did something even more amazing last summer. She spent her summer on a space station as a mission specialist. Susan, tell the club what you were doing up there.
to the space station, and everybody thought I was in Washington, D.C. with my family. But unbeknownst to everyone, he got my secret. I was in this space station, and we did all kinds of experiments, trying to cure cancer, trying to come up with things for weightlessness. I actually got to use the Cobair treadmill up there, which I thought was great. And I called down to Steve and said, "Hey, I'm using your treadmill." He was very excited about that. But other than that, we just did a lot of stuff about and flew around weightlessness, just floating around and did tricks, and it was just a really fun time. Thank you, Mr. Tabletop.
What this next Toastmaster did over the summer absolutely has the power to change the world. Last summer, our next Toastmaster invented a new diet. And literally, you can look at this guy, he lost 35 pounds. Charlie, the club must know about the Krispy Kreme diet you invented.
Mr. Tabletop Master, Toastmasters and guests, I always have a contingency plan when Jonathan is up there, because he always throws some weird stuff at me. The Krispy Kreme diet is very simple. Are you ready? Wait for it. Don't eat it. Drink water instead. Drink apple cider vinegar. Very good for you. Keep your stomach the taste. But actually I've gotten to like it now because I take it twice a day. And it's actually making me feel better. The other thing that I found out about losing weight is walking. I couldn't walk for a while because I hurt my foot, but now I started again and I've already lost 4 pounds in 2 weeks that I've been starting to walk again. Of course, you have to have a decent diet. So that means that I have to drive by Dunkin' Donuts and go like this, and Krispy Kreme and go like this, and Burger King and McDonald's. But I do stop at the food stands and buy carrots and bananas and tomatoes. Yummy meals they make. Mr. Tabletop Master.
Mild-mannered, delicate, lovely accent might be how you would describe our next Toastmaster. But what she did last summer, it's going to be in the newspapers tomorrow. In Central Arkansas, she captured, domesticated, and now has living with her the very first Bigfoot. Sarah, tell us all about it.
I'm very small, and sometimes a small person needs to feel protected. So I went on a mission last summer to find just something really big and powerful that I could bring home. And there's a couple of crazy neighbors that I could just tuck this big something in my home and use as needed. And I like to travel. One of my neighbors has a huge RV, and I was always very interested about, let me see if I could take that for a spin. So I packed the family up, and I meandered up through Georgia and headed out as far as I could, really until I ran out of time, because I only took a few weeks of leave time from my work. No one knew where I went. I just told them I went to the beach. And there he was. It was Bigfoot. Massive. Now you think I'd be afraid of something that big? But I looked at it like a pet. Big in size, small in brain. And with my 2 cute kids, we got this beast under control. With some good home cooking under the campfire, we lured this beast in, and he was part of our family. We couldn't get this thing home, but I wanted him to live with us, protect us, be a friend. I don't have any pets. It would be perfect. So this Bigfoot agreed to hoist himself up on the roof of the RV. We turned that van around and we came home. Now I strategically made sure that it was really dark, because you could see my neighbors if I'm coming down my road, quiet Sarah. Not so quiet kids, but it's a different story. And they saw this Bigfoot, this beast on top of the RV. We snuck him in the house. And anytime I need him, usually when those different sales folks come around the door, whoa, we have a great time having that beast come out and poke his head around the corner. But that's my secret, and it's out now, but that Bigfoot's mine.
I hardly know this gentleman just yet, but when I found out what he did last summer, we really have a celebrity in the midst. Very smart person. An engineer, Steve, who developed time travel. Steve, tell the club what you told me about the different places that you visited and the things you've seen with your time travel device.
Well, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Well, I've actually been at this club for several years now. It's just a contingency plan to people not remembering is just make everybody forget. Well, time travel is kind of interesting because you can't have two objects in the same place at the same time. There are several mechanisms of time travel. First, you need to understand the time-space continuum. Time and position are interrelated, and time is actually discrete. So, because time is discrete, you usually don't have anything between the two increments of time. However, you have a concept called wormholes and tunneling. So you could jump between two discrete units of time, and you can get to another unit of time. But you have to sacrifice your position in order to go from one time zone to another. Another thing you can do is you can change the order of things, but you can maintain the same timeline. Therefore, you know what your future is going to be even before you start. So with all this time travel, I'm going to now travel back 5 years.
Thanks to Stephen Morgan, we get all of our speeches videotaped, and they're out there on the World Wide Web. And it's well known that Kim Jong-il, North Korea, loves Western culture. And he happened to get the facilitator's YouTube channel. And he saw our next facilitator in action. And asked them to come to North Korea and have lunch with him. It's all been top secret until now. It gets unsealed tonight. Jorge, what did you and Kim Jong talk about over lunch? And I gotta know, what did you eat?
In the beginning, I was scared. He seemed a wild and crazy guy. But once we started talking, and I know he's the kind of music he likes. He likes what was that song? The Hanka, Shanka, Danka, something. After doing some of the song, something about a horse. After talking for a little bit, we touched the food subject. And that is something we click. I know we both love pets. We also enjoy pets. For appetizer, it was something small. Eggs and a little bird. Lightly roasted from the top with the flame. We were planning the menu for the whole day. For lunch, we decided to have something light. I hope some of you animal lovers don't disqualify for this. But it was something feline. We like cats. I never liked cats, but it tasted good. Almost like rabbits. And dinner time was the main dish. Actually, my favorite. I do have one of those at home. A dog. And I was planning to cook it for Thanksgiving, this coming Thanksgiving. We talk about all that and celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas in Korea with Mr. Ill.
Mr. Grasshopper, would you like to do one?
No. I don't feel comfortable enough yet doing that.
We have another Toastmaster that every one of these meetings, she's very sweet, she's very soft-spoken. And it amazed me when I had a little conversation with her last week. We'll all see it in the upcoming season, but it's been taped. Linda Earls was on what will be the next season of Survivor. And I believe she plays pretty well. Linda, tell us about the island you were on. Tell us about your strategy for how you won Survivor.
I won Survivor with a totally vegetarian diet, which saved me a lot of bites and scratches trying to get something to eat. And I saved my energy hunting and fishing for sleeping and hiding. That's how I survived. And I didn't interact with the other guests, which saved me a lot of grief, and I didn't get a lot of airtime on the show, so I wasn't the most popular. And I did survive, though, because they totally forgot about me, and they forgot to vote me off. I'm not sure if I'm talking about the right show, because I haven't really seen the show, so I have to wing it. But I won with perseverance and laziness and hiding and cowardice, and it all served me well. I survived. Oops, I have to drag this out a few more seconds. I also had a specially made outfit that would allow me to. Oh, I'm done? Thank goodness.
And since it was her idea, of course, we can't leave her out. And why would we want to? Micki, what you did last summer for me was very near and dear to my heart, as many of you know. I want to know about what you talked about when you had lunch with Pope Francis.
Mr. Taylor Topics Master, you are informed. I didn't have lunch with the Pope. What I did the entire summer was trying hardly to lose weight. And I did, 20 pounds. Now I have to tell you that the 20 pounds I gained in 1 year, the year before. Why? Because my mom lived with me. And every night it was, my baby, what do you want? Would you like a steak? Would you like some soup? Would you like dessert? I can make some tiramisu if you want. Every single night for a whole year. And there, the 20 pounds gone. In May, she moved back to Romania. So I went to the gym, I started on a diet, I worked hard on the elliptical from 500 calories to 1,000 calories burned. And yes, I got back to where I was a year ago. Now the problem is, my mom is moving back with me. And I'm really scared. I love her to death. But I don't see myself staying where I am right now. Thank you, Mr. President.
And since this question came from a few of the Toastmasters in this room, mainly Steve Morgan, we're both sci-fi geeks. We found out what this Toastmaster did before joining our club. We've got to know. Michann, last summer, was cast as the granddaughter of Princess Leia in the upcoming Star Wars movie, Episode 7. And while we know that you're sworn to secrecy by the director, just give us a few little tidbits about the upcoming episode. It's been way too long since we've had a Star Wars Christmas show.
I'm a little bit ill-prepared to talk about the upcoming episode, mainly because my husband is the one who volunteered me for the position, and as usual, he's running late, and so I had little time to prepare. I was hoping there would be a contingency where if I did not want to fill this role, that I could bring somebody else in, but unfortunately, because of the last minute, there's not enough time to do that either. So I've been with him at home, practicing. He's been playing with my hair. We're trying to get it to go up in those two buns. So far, it's not working. My poor hair is so thin and fine. Maybe I can put some socks in there, do a sock on the other side. We're hoping that will work. I've been trying to go through character, and my husband, thankfully, he is a fan of Star Wars, so he's been watching this cartoon episode that he's found on Netflix that goes through. So hopefully with his training, I'll be able to fill this role and be able to do a good job of impersonating her and also get to know the other characters that I can not only fill my role, but go in line with the storyline as well. I'll let you know how it goes next week.
By the way, Charlie's playing Chewbacca. The guy is a jack of all trades. And thus concludes our table topics this evening. I now relinquish control back to Micki.
You're not going to turn it over?
Timer, could we have the timer before please?
Every single one qualified. I will state their time, though. Stephen Morgan with the Secret Service at 1 minute 54 seconds. Susan Morgan, Space Mission Specialist, 1 minute 6 seconds. Charlie Valier, Krispy Kreme Diet, 1 minute 32 seconds. Sarah, Captured and Domesticated Bigfoot, 2 minutes 8 seconds. Steve Block, Developer of Time Travel, 1 minute 24 seconds. George Elias, King John Ill Lunch Conversation, 1 minute 35 seconds. Linda Earl, Survivor, 1 minute 8 seconds. Micki D, Hope Lunch, 1 minute 32 seconds. Michann, cast as the granddaughter of Princess Leia, 1 minute 6 seconds.
Thank you. Please vote for the best table topic speaker tonight. And meanwhile, we're going to move on to our next segment of the meeting, which is speech evaluations. Our general evaluator this evening knows what you did last summer because he recorded it and put it online. Please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now time for us to get the feedback that we came here to get in order to learn and grow. We begin first with the evaluations of the prepared speeches. We had a bit of shuffling from the evaluators because of the absence of a speaker as well. Our first evaluation this evening with Gail Smith. Many of you have been here a while, are quite well aware of what she's been doing for the past few summers. Since she spent much of that time working on her high performance leadership project, which was also her daughter's wedding. Then after finally finishing that, she managed to take a nice long break, a very long vacation, and then to go visit the granddaughter that was also just born. But tonight she's here to give some advice to Mark on how he should conduct his next summer, or at least his next speech. Please welcome Gail.
Thank you, Stephen. For those of you who don't quite understand the objectives of what Mark's project was to incorporate, as our agenda mentions, is to research the topic, but not just research it. Research it from different angles, a variety of sources, and then put it into speech and deliver it in various, as they call it, various forms of support. Mark, first of all, right out of the chute, outstanding prop. Clicking the light, none of us had any idea what in the world this was, even though I took a wild guess. I figured it was probably Morse code. But you immediately captivated each and every one of us. What is this all about? And then you told us what message you were actually sending. Because I am such a crazy fool about the structures of our projects and the way we deliver them, I give you a A+. Your opening, as I alluded to, with the use of your prop was outstanding, and then the question that you led us into thinking about. But then in the body, verifying and validating how this painter, Stephen Morse, became this developer and patent artist for the Morse code. And you delivered it not just saying, oh, in 1980 or 1843 did this, but rather delivered it in a story form that we, your audience, could completely enjoy. In fact, I wrote in your manual that, wow, I never knew I wanted to enjoy this story, and I could have easily listened to you another 10, 15 minutes. The conclusion, you were very deliberate in leading us to that conclusion, but I personally felt that the conclusion was your weakest point. I felt that you could have easily tied the Stephen Morse's name back into your conclusion and have reinforced and validated every fact you just told us by using the light again and have told us something else in Morse code. But what I might suggest as a contingency plan to really hammer this in next time, the way you delivered it, I didn't feel really warranted a lot of body gesturing, even though your manual asks how that was adopted, and vocal variety. And so I might suggest that you characterize, maybe you come up here as Stephen Morse in a painter's apron, possibly with a palette, and have told the story through his eyes, through his person. Mr. General Evaluator.
Yeah. We all know what Toni did the last 2 summers. Prepare to become not only healthy, but to take on the role of bionic woman. 10 months ago, she had a total hip replacement, and 5 weeks ago, a total knee replacement. She still has 1 more of each, by the way. Facing 6 more weeks of a grueling physical rehab period, she hopes her brain has at least returned to its normal functioning, or better, as she evaluates the speech of Ted Allman. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster.
We welcome our obviously well-read Toastmaster, Ted, with his contingency speech. And ask the question, how many points did you accumulate, Ted? Let's look at the areas of topic, delivery, and structure, and see where I gave you points and where you could earn more points. Regarding topic, I'll give you a point for originality. I've never seen a presentation like this, and I thought it was quite original, unique, and it was fun. You get a point for confidence. Despite the lack of participation, you kept on going, you gave us hints and tips, and you tried to drag it out of us. So good for you. You didn't lose your composure at all. In the area of structure, I think your purpose was really to get up here and have some fun and present in front of our group for the first time. You indicated you didn't choose a manual speech, project, so it had to be all about fun and giving your first performance for us. Now, how could you have earned a few more points? Related to structure, always remember that a speech, any kind of speech, has an opening, a body, and a close. I felt you certainly had a body, but I felt the opening and the close was either not really there or too short for us to get as involved as we could have. So for example, on an opening, give us an example of a book you read. Read the passage, tell us the author, tell us the book. You know, give us a good example and let us get to know you. What's your favorite book? I thought that would have been an interesting opening. Also, the clarity of your instructions. Since this was unusual and there was audience participations, make sure that it's crystal clear what we're doing. You're competing against some noise in here. I had a little trouble getting with you at the beginning of your presentation. Your body was good, you were consistent, and you were well prepared for that. The end, though, who won? Who got the most points? You didn't really finish it. If you're going to introduce an idea, then bring it to a conclusion as well. Related to topic, take into account the age and interests of your audience. Okay, now I remember what's my line. I'm 64, but I don't remember how it worked. So, you're new here, you don't really know the members that well in the audience, but I thought that was, there were 2 or 3 of us here that probably remember it. So use a better example. Your delivery, we have a challenge in this room. The lectern, standing in front of the lectern is always good. We like to see you, but then your back is to some of the people. So we have a challenge here with the way our room is set up. You had some good vocal variety. I want to congratulate you on getting up and participating in our club. You had some fun. We learned a lot about you. You were an original speaker. I look forward to your next speech.
Madam Timer, can we have a timer's report on the evaluators, please?
Gail S. at 3 minutes 29 seconds qualified, and Toni G at 3 minutes 17 seconds qualified.
Plenty.
All right. In the red light district for our evaluators tonight, please take your vote. You can write down your vote for best evaluator. Now you're starting to get it. And the vote counter will come around to pick up your votes for that. While she is doing that, I would like to get the reports from our other functionaries, beginning with our odd counter. I know I heard a few. I wonder if I heard as many as you. How many did you hear, Charlie?
Okay, Mark, excellent. Ted, you got 3, awesome. Micki, you did excellent, you had 1 odd that I cut.
I promise I don't, no ahs, no ums in Romanian.
So what do they say instead?
Stephen Morgan was perfect so far, Jonathan Dunn was perfect. Susan Morgan, 1 1 so. Sarah was perfect. Jorge, 1 Linda, 3 ahs. Michann, 1 Gail Smith, 1 And Toni, you win the booby prize.
Yay!
5 ahs and 1 and.
Woo!
And Susan, how did we use the language today?
That's a good one, right there. The people who used the word of the day were Ted, Charlie, Sarah, Michann, Stephen, and Gail, and Toni. No, Stephen didn't use it, sorry, it was Toni and Gail.
I used it.
Did
That
you
Steve
see?
did.
Okay, sorry, I
Mine
missed
is
you.
already up here.
Anyway, some of the phrases that I heard that were colorful were truly no limits, Jonathan, and power to change the world. Sarah, massive, I like that word, and big of size and small in brain. Steve, I've been in this club for 5 years. Jorge, never liked cats, but they tasted good. I won by being lazy. Michann, I'll let you know next week. That was brilliant. Stephen, the red light district with the evaluators. Just heard that one, that was fun. Toni, drag it out. And of course, Gail with her crazy fool. And that is my report this morning.
And as general evaluator, I am to give an evaluation on the meeting as a whole. One of the first things I think we're going to have to do is figure out how we're going to call the meeting to order.
I'm bringing a hammer next week.
Which are super glue.
That's the second one.
Really?
I broke the last one.
What the heck has been going on with these things? I'm not to comment on the content of the speeches. I'll make one comment though related to the fact of the speech not fitting in a project. One of the big things within Toastmasters that will be pushed, and I generally actually agree on, is that every speech that's being presented should be a part of a project. Let me point out a couple of things. First of all, the Competent Communicator Manual, whatever speech you're giving, one of those projects will fit, because 7 of the speeches out of the manual are just simply focus on some technical aspect. You can give any speech you want. Absolutely. So that manual will always work. Alternatively, I'll also point out, it doesn't matter if you match or meet the speech's objectives. You will get credit. Even if you do none of them or not even attempt to do any of them. If you get up, grunt, sit down, you get credit. So by all means, take the opportunity to say, I'd like to work on this particular project manual, at the very least so that you can get credit down the line. The other things I would point out have to do with transitions up here with the lectern and as a whole. Part of this goes back to at our previous location, we had a very different setup where we actually had the audience laid out in front. And most notably when people moved about, they moved around the edges. The way we've got the room set up here, whenever anyone ever wants to move, they move into the middle. I'd love to find a way to change that, but I'd at least like to point out that if you're going to be moving through the middle, take note that the focus is supposed to stay up here. And anyone who's been through drama class, you'll hear, you probably had your drama teacher drill you, don't upstage the speaker. Therefore, if somebody is going to be up here, you're not supposed to pass in front. Now, on a simple fact of just handing off from handshake and leaving, when you're doing the transition here, that's why the person coming in comes in front and the person leaving goes from behind. And sometimes that's difficult because of how you're positioned, but that's how you're supposed to do it. But here, what's most notable that I always end up noticing because it's the way I tend to think, the vote counter, when they're getting up to go and pick up things, is always walking right in front. And I would just simply point out that what we've done in the past, I'd suggest we return to commentary for the speakers. You don't have to go pick them up each time, just wait till you're picking up the votes. Pick them up then. Less disruptive and a lot faster, and it gives the rest of us time to finish writing if 1 minute isn't enough. If there were a way we could find to make space on the outside, that'd be even better. But please take note, it's especially something that stands out to me when the person who's just comes up and is now starting to speak, and the person who leaves is walking right in front of them. Please keep that in mind. For this particular meeting, since we had one speaker not show, contingency plans kicked in, evaluators shifted, table topics expanded, and we certainly have no problem making everything work. I certainly hope that we expect to see a lot more people signing up for speeches, volunteering instead of having to be dragged in. We have plenty of time to do so, and everyone has speech projects to get done. Otherwise, we're going to have to break the next gavel over your heads. For the evaluators in particular, Toni, great job of getting the sandwich method put together and keeping all the high energy moving through. Gail, welcome back. I would like to say to end on the higher note, because you went straight from all the suggestions to, oh, I'm done. And I'd like to always say, always end on the upswing. But great suggestions and commentary and very insightful. Thank you for all of that. My part for the meeting, sounds like I point out a lot of good things to point out, but actually things have been working very smoothly. We had no problems with people filling in and adjusting to all the changes. Things got set up on time, and it looks like we're going to be well within our time frame because of the lack of speech, even with me running my mouth off. Therefore, I shall pass it along to our president so he can have his turn.
At this time, may we vote for the most improved Toastmaster. They've been table topics, evaluating, speaking.
I wouldn't have it.
No rules. And I'm sure that there is a roll sign-up sheet getting passed around for the next meeting. So that's always an excellent.
I'm sure you expected it.
And in case there isn't, we'll have a contingency plan. Charlie, I want my quarterback.
No.
Yes, vote counter will be coming around to pick up your vote for the most improved. And while we're doing that, yes, Gail.
Oh, no, I'm just looking at my note. But I do have something.
Good. Let's hear from our guests. This is the last time we'll be able to say that to you, Ted. What did you think of tonight? We really enjoyed the speech.
Well, thank you. Guess it'll be the last time I'm here as a guest. Because whoever's going in for membership, let me know what I have to do. Okay? Another great evening. I'm duly impressed. And very happy to join the rest of you.
Fantastic. And Ted, just give it to Charlie on, it's no mystery, it'll be a check to the facilitators for $45. He'll take care of that part. And I'm going to go ahead and put the monkey on Micki. Just get with her to give all your information. I think you already did a lot of that. And then we'll get it all processed through the computer, and you'll be ready to go regardless. Mr. Grassoff, what did you think of our meeting?
First of all, thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I want to applaud all of you because there is such a wide variety of individuals' ability to stand up in front of a group like this and give a speech. And I do applaud you for doing that because I know how tough it is to do. Thank you.
And we really hope you join us again. I did have a really fun question for you. We'll tell you after the meeting.
I almost know what you're going to say.
Micki, do we? Yes, go ahead, Toni.
I have a request.
Sure.
Jonathan, we are halfway through this term. We have 3 months left. And I would love to get some kind of update on our VCP plan, where we are with money in the treasury, where we are with collecting dues and number of members, the business of the club. Because I think that would be useful just to update us, and for some of the new people, they don't know some of that stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And also, as far as the distinguished club program, several of us are in other clubs, so I need to start thinking and committing awards to this club as well as another club.
Cool.
Thank you.
We will be having an executive meeting in 2 weeks. We, of course, invite anybody to come to that, and we'll do the report to the club right after that. We'll get Micki to give that as an educational moment, as punishment for not having the roll sheet. Not as punishment, it would be a reward, but we will, and I agree. Micki, do we have anybody signed up for anything next week?
I signed up last week. I signed up, you signed up last week on your list.
Yes.
Yes, and don't know where that is.
I've been so busy lately that I was afraid we are not going to have an agenda tonight. I mean, I put this together 10 minutes before the meeting, before I left for the meeting. If you remember what you signed up for,
I'm speaking.
I signed up for 10 topics. Gail?
Toni?
Yeah, the evaluator, in case I'm in the contest.
Yeah, let's do a generic list for sure. Let's get it done.
Micki, did you have the rest of the awards?
Yes, I put them in the closet.
So, do we have a Toastmaster?
No, who would like to be the Toastmaster?
Jorge wants to do it.
All right, yeah.
We have to get him
Thank you.
busier.
Yes. Then we need an accounter, grammarian, vote counter.
Oh, yes, oh my gosh. Sorry about that.
I am going to speak next week,
Okay.
All right.
and we need another evaluator.
Okay, good. I'll do anything, except I prefer to not be the grammarian.
I could be a functionary of any sort.
Accountant?
Yep.
Can I be grammarian?
Grammarian Linda?
Mark, are you going to be here next week?
I don't know if I'm gonna be here, that's why I'm holding off.
And I will contact Pat to see if she can attend the meeting.
Okay?
Don't count on it. Don't count on
No.
it.
Steve, would you like to be like a vote counter?
I'm
or-
getting surgery next week.
Oh,
Yeah. And then gap a week or two.
I'll be an evaluator.
You put Charlie and I anywhere you like.
general evaluator? general-
Sure, of course.
Charlie evaluator, and then we need another speaker. Anyone? Where's he? I'm going to send out an email.
Okay, good. Well, we're set. We've got a great framework in place, so that's all that matters. All right. It's awards time. I love this part. Man, it's fun. Tim Chastain Award, going above and beyond the call of duty. Mentor, Sergeant at Arms, Treasurer, counter. It's got to go to Charlie. And he picked up water. Best Table Topics Award winner, Big Game Hunter, Sarah. Improved award winner. This guy gets better every time I see him. He's our humorous speaking champion, Mark Lukery. The best evaluator. I thought they were fantastic evaluations on both ends. It was a photo finish, and it's going to go to Toni G. Thank you, Toni. And our best speaker, I guess there's no mystery. We know Mark has won best speaker. Are there any other announcements from the floor? Gail.
Yes. As you all know, I sent out an email. I signed up to be Toastmaster in 2 weeks. and wanted to entertain the idea of having a debate with two speakers with opposing opinions or support. I threw out a couple of suggestions for maybe topics, and those who replied back to me unanimously across the board said, please, no politics.
No, just don't talk about politicians. Everything we selected was politics.
Well, it's all politics, regardless, but no politics. Gubernatorial elections, out. However, there were 6-7 subjects suggested. I would like to see, by your show of hands and support, would you be interested in having this? Have a couple of speakers with opposing views, whether they really believe it or not, but just the idea of having an opposite view. Are you in for a debate format?
I'd suggest more than 2 speakers because you're going to have
Yeah.
panels usually.
Okay, well, I'll take that as a yes. We'll do this. So on that note, I would like for you to be thinking about being a speaker. And if you have a particular topic that you're passionate about, then we'll find somebody who's not so passionate about, or we'll fake it. But topics that have surfaced are fracking, sexual predator rules, children's inoculations or vaccinations, animal welfare, global warming, and cannabis, medical marijuana. If anyone...
Can you read them again?
Sure. Fracking, sexual predator rules, children's inoculations or vaccinations, animal welfare, global warming, and cannabis.
Sounds good.
So if you think you would like to participate in this, I would love to see at least 3 speakers. And then we can work this out together on what topic, or not topic, but what side you take. So if you have a particular topic you are passionate about, come up to me and we will make this happen.
Marijuana, take that one.
This is for
I
the
have a
15th
question.
year?
One question.
Closing, of course.
Okay.
If we have, usually we have 3 speakers, and there would only be 2 sides to each thing. So maybe 2 topics and 2.
No, it can be discussed generally as a panel. We don't have to have just 3, we don't have to have table topics.
That's true.
We can expand.
So if we get 4, we can have 2 teams, pro and con.
Will there be evaluated? Will they be
Make them speak.
We can make evaluations. I can design this.
Gail, this is for the 15th, is that?
Okay. So, anyway, see me immediately after the meeting. Let me know if you would like to speak and on what topic, and then we'll just sort of take it from there. If not, I will select a topic and we'll designate some speakers.
How do I get on the email list? I have to get any emails.
Okay.
Because I've read it in advance.
See, Micki's he's in.
Some of our new members aren't on the email list.
What's your email on your phone?
Oh.
sblock@sblock.org.
That's black,
Block.
B-L-O-C-K.
Let me write it down.
B-L-O-C-K?
I don't
Well,
wanna give
everyone,
information on the
we can get all
camera.
this done afterwards. It was a pleasure seeing each of you. The meeting is adjourned.